Let's create a route for player so that we can include more player functionalities, but we don't have to just append index.js with a ton of APIs as we start to extend the capabilities more and more. Let's go ahead and create a folder for routes, and let's create a file for player.js. In this route, we want to provide a custom payload for our player. So you want to set up, maybe we want to tell them their rank in all their different queues, as well as some very basic information about them. For most users, they don't really care what the underlying IDs or GUIDs are. They just want some indicative data. So let's say we want them to know their solo detail and their flex detail, meaning their solo queue rank and their flex queue ranks. In our ranked file here, this is currently an endpoint. We want this to be middleware instead. So instead of returning the data back, we're going to just say return next. And instead of assigning this to data, we're going to do request.summoner.ranked, meaning that their summoner now has ranked data attached to it. And then let's just change this to ranked parser. We'll update this to ranked parser for now, although it's not going to make much sense because we're eliminating that line altogether. But now we know that if our request.summoner.ranked exists, that means that the summoner that is being looked up has ranked detail. If that's the case, then we need to look up their solo detail from that data. And we want to say request.summoner.ranked detail. And the reason it's that way is because we've actually created this ranked detail object. If you remember, we encapsulated our ranked detail in here. This is the ranked object. And then within that ranked object, we have the ranked detail objects that include the individual tiers and their queue types. So we want to look at the actual ranked detail, and we want to find the queue we're looking for. So if they're ranked and we're looking at their solo queue, we want to find anywhere where the ranked data has a queue type. Goodness. Queue type is so hard to type after you think about it for too long. Is equal to, I think it's, let's just look it up. Ranked solo 5x5. And the same thing for flex detail, only it'd be slightly different. I think it's just flex, ranked flex SR. Interesting. So now we have our solo detail and our flex detail defined. We probably want to format that a little bit more though, because it's still not too pretty for users. So we want to say solo rank, flex rank. If the solo detail exists, meaning if we found that solo detail in that ranked lookup, we can say our solo rank is equal to, looking at this, I think there's gold, there's tier and rank. So if we just say, let's create a funky string here. Let me say solo detail dot tier, and then solo detail dot rank. That should give us our solo rank. And let's just copy this whole thing and do the same thing for flex rank. Flex rank equals that. We've got the payload defined because we've set this up as a middleware for ranked and summoner. So our payload should include a rec.summoner with all of our summoner details like the name, region, and range, name, region, and whatnot. But it should also include our ranked detail that we've just parsed out. So now we can build our return object. The response.status of 200.json. Let's just build the JSON payload right here. So we want region to be request.summoner.region. We want name to be request.summoner.name. Their level should be I think it's summoner level. Look it up real quick. It is summoner level. And then those other values that we just created, solo rank and flex rank. So these are just basic stuff. If you're looking up your user on the internet, you want to know what region they're on, what their name is, what level they are, and then what are their ranks. Probably all you really want out of this, right? So this function, all it does is it assumes that all this data is on the request payload, and it's going to parse it and put it in a format we want it to be really pretty. It's not connected to our project yet, so let's connect it right now. We're going to create a custom route. So we're going to run a require express. We're not going to create a new express app, but we are going to create a new router. And in that router, we're going to obviously need the middleware that we've got defined in our index.js. So let's just pull these both in here. So our summoner and our ranked. And in that router, if we get /detail, we want to feed it through the summoner parser. And then we're going to also want to, is summoner parser? It is. Okay, just making sure. Then we're also going to want to send it to ranked, or I can't remember what it's called. Hold on. Is it just ranked parser? It is called ranked parser. Great. So there. And then we also want to send it to the get player detail method above. And once that's all said and done, we just need to export that as a router in our V1. And so now back in our V1, we want to go ahead and import that route. So we want to say player route, or just say player equals require routes / player. And then our v1.use, anything that goes under player uses the player.router. And now if we rerun this, we crash. In here, because we're in the routes section, we need to actually go up one in order to require these, and that should work. Now the app is listening, so if you go to /player/detail, we should get some indicative data about our player. And because it's pulling this data still off of that MongoDB on those functions natively, it's going to only take 6 milliseconds after the first one. And if we were to delete one of those, or even both of those collections, it'll take a lot longer because we'll be pulling it directly from Riot. 605 milliseconds. But the second time, it takes 6 milliseconds. So literally 100 times faster because we've implemented MongoDB.